So today we're just going to be talking about how you can start to outsource some of your content writing to freelancers. And this isn't necessarily what everyone's going to be doing straight away, but eventually it's going to get to the point where you really have to start outsourcing your writing if you want to scale your business. Just like any other business, the best way in general for you to scale a business is going to be for you to take yourself out of the menial and basic tasks. So that's going to free up some of your time to do more important tasks like keyword research and sort of overall planning of the site rather than spending hours each day just writing content. So the site I really like to use at the moment is Upwork. Upwork's just a huge freelance website where you can hire a bunch of freelancers in a bunch of different topics from programming, design and writing, etc. So if we come into Upwork here, you can see that I'm in the post the job section, and I'm just going to show you how I do it myself. It's not that complex a process, but there are a few things which you have to get right. And one of those is the type of freelancer which you want to hire from the beginning. You need to have an idea of what kind of person you want to hire so that you can almost create your post to attract that kind of person. So my favorite type of freelancer is going to be someone who has very little experience in freelancing, but has a lot of experience within the field. So let me explain that a little bit. Say I want someone to write about a topic, say they're writing about headphones. I want them to have experience using headphones, and I want them to have lots of experience doing writing, but I don't necessarily want them to have experience as a freelancer, especially on Upwork. And the reason for this is if they're new to Upwork, then they're going to be far more likely to accept lower paid jobs because they're just doing it to get more positive feedback on their profile. So these are the kind of people I'm really looking for. So now we're in this section here. I'm just going to almost post an example just so that you can see how I do it. Once you've posted previous jobs, you can just come in here, you can just select one of the previous ones. So if you set a template up on your first job, then that's going to make your life a lot easier. So what I'd do is I'd come down here and I'd choose a category. So I'm going to come down here to writing, and normally I'll just like go for web content or article and blog writing. This is generally going to be your best choice because it's quite general and lots of different writers will be willing to do that. So now we just need to give sort of a description of the job. So some people like to give a description here of the type of person they're looking for. I don't think that's necessarily the best way to do it. Also, I think it's a good idea to say what the topic is on in the title. And the reason for this is if you're just saying, oh, I need a writer, people are far more likely to just skim across that because there's hundreds and hundreds of jobs at any time for them to choose from. So you really want to stand out. So if I'm going to have an article on headphones and speakers, I'm probably going to say something like 2 articles on headphones, and I want them to be maybe 1,000 words each. And this is just gives a really just quick description. I mean, if someone's just scanning through a bunch of different jobs to choose from and they see this type of title, they're far more likely to click on that and be willing to do it because they don't have to waste their time to go in and learn what the job's about. I mean, these people are not earning a huge wage, so they're trying to maximize their income by doing things as quick as possible. So if you can have a very descriptive post like this, it says how many articles you need, it says 2 articles, it has a description of the topic, and it says exactly how many words each are going to be. They really don't need much more beyond exactly what the titles are going to be, which is just I'm going to put in here. So it really does help with finding good writers, I found, is to use a title like this. Make it really succinct, very easy and quick for people to read. So next we'll come to the describe the work section, and I like to straight up just say no feedback required. And this again is just to increase your chance of getting the kind of writer you want, which in my case, and I would suggest for you, is to look for people who are new to Upwork. So then I'm going to want to put the article titles. And again, this is just to make it quick. You just want people to understand and be able to very quickly accept the job. So article titles might be, what are the best headphones available? And the second title might be, how do headphones work? Something like that. So these are the two titles, and it's very easy for people to understand. Then next, I'm probably going to want to just repeat myself and say maybe each article should be 1,000 words long. And then I like to add at the end, even if it's not true, I like to say that there's going to be repeat work. And again, this just gives you the kind of, firstly, it's going to make people work harder if they think there's potential work after. And it's also going to separate out the type of applicants you're going to get. You're far more likely to get better, harder working applicants if they think it's a more long-term position. So I might say something like, there is far more work available if you produce great content for this job. And then really that's it. I mean, you can add anything else you want after. I know some people do super long descriptions, but again, I always just put myself in the position of the freelancer. And like I said before, these people just want to be in and out. They're not here to be reading through 3,000 character word long descriptions. So I'd keep it pretty basic, something like this. There are a couple other templates which can work really well, but I would advise giving this sort of short basic template a go and then sculpting it to your own personal needs. One thing I also might want to mention is experience is helpful, something like this, or it's great if you've used headphones in the past and have some knowledge about them. So this might not be maybe the best example with headphones, but some more complex niches are specifically, I've seen in health. So if you're trying to hire people to write content about health or drugs or sport, it's super helpful if the person has experience in the field themselves, and you can tell there's like a huge difference between the quality of writing. So even if someone can do great research, generally it's still going to be a lower quality article than someone who's just got years of experience actually working in that industry. So that's all there really is to it, Alexa. It's just a basic template. And then what I'd come down here is, are you posting for a project or for ongoing work? And generally, I do say it's a one-time project. I've already said up here there's far more work available, and this is just makes it easier on your end when you're actually going to hire the freelancer. What I would do next is click I need to hire more than one freelancer. So here we've said we only want 2 articles, so I'm not going to need more than 2 freelancers. So in my case, I'd just say 2 freelancers. But if, for example, you're posting a job for 10 articles, if it's 10 articles, I'd probably hire 5 freelancers. 5 or maybe even 10, it's up to you. I'd normally go for 5. And the reason for this is hiring freelancers is really just a numbers game. There's a huge difference between the quality of freelancers, even if they both have good experience in writing. You just have to test them all out and then keep the best. So what I would do is just hire a bunch, and then whichever one's the best, just keep them, and then keep working with them. And if you want to expand your team, just do the same over and over again. So at the moment, I've got a team of maybe 4 or 5 writers, and I just did this. I post a job for 10 articles. I'd hire 5 freelancers and just keep the best one, and then I'd just repeat that until my team had grown to the point where I wanted it. So down here you have this enter skills needed section. Again, you may choose to do this. I personally don't. And again, I'm looking for people who are very new to Upwork, and a lot of people just don't even really bother entering skills here. And also, I don't think it's not like if I was hiring for programming or design, I would probably enter a skill. But for writing, I don't think it's that important. So here you can have a pay by the hour, or you can have a pay a fixed price. Pay by the hour on Upwork now has a minimum of $3 an hour. Uh, so actually, one tip, not for writers, but if you're trying to hire a virtual assistant, rather than paying by the hour, because $3 an hour is quite a lot for a VA. What you can do is if you can kind of cheat and pay a fixed price. So work out how many hours it's going to cost the VA. So if it's going to cost 5 hours, you could just pay a fixed price of $5, and that way it's going to work out at $1 an hour. So that's one way to get around that. But in this example, when you're hiring writers for content, I'd always go for pay a fixed price. It just causes far less issues. You don't have to bother looking through how they've spent their time. I'd normally go for intermediate. You can go for entry level. It's up to you. I've had good experiences with both. Sometimes entry level can get you just a bunch of terrible applicants. Other times you get really a much higher quality batch. So I just experiment, but generally I find intermediate to be the best. I actually normally put intermediate and then just put a low budget, and that way you get people who class themselves as intermediate based on their skill level, but who are still willing to accept a lower payment. So if we come back up, oops, if we come back up, we can see I've got two articles of 1,000 words, so 2,000 words. And the going rate for cheap writers is roughly $1 per 100 words. So we'd be looking at $20 for this. I would lowball. If in doubt, just decrease the price. You can always repost the job later if you don't get any good applicants or it doesn't work out. But I have had a lot of cases where I've put a stupidly low budget, something like $5 for thousands of words of content, and I've had graduates from university pick up the jobs just because of what I mentioned earlier, which is these people are not doing this for the money, they're just doing it for the feedback so that they can build up a profile and then charge higher prices later on. So always lowball would be my advice. So rather than going for the average of $20, which is still very low for a writer, I might even be cheeky and just put $10 and just see what you get. That's really all you can do. I mean, you can have your freelancer preferences down here. And again, some people do choose to do this. For example, screening questions, which is going to force the applicant to answer some questions before they can submit their application. But again, I think that's not the best option, because if you put yourself in their shoes, it's time consuming and there's so many jobs for them to apply for. They're probably only going to get 1 out of 50 jobs which they apply for. So if you're forcing them to answer a bunch of questions, then they're probably more likely just to skip over your post more than anything. So unless you're going for a high budget and expert level, I would just leave that, to be honest. Just keep it basic. Yeah, just keep it very basic and go with that. So that's all there really is to it. And then you just come down here, you click post the job, and it will be posted into the world.